Before I start this video, this channel has actually been given a donation. I've got some new overalls on. Many thanks to Tim Porter, who has donated these overalls to the channel. It's very much appreciated. This is my 1950s Wolseley WD8 stationary engine, and upon running it recently I've noticed it's developed a leak. Now I suspect it could possibly be the head gasket. Oh no, a head gasket you might say. God, doesn't that mean that the engine's going to seize, die, you have to change the overhead cams, timing belts, tappet valves, everything like that? Well, that might be the case for my P38 Range Rover. But this is not a P38 Range Rover with a BMW M51 diesel in it. This is a 1950s Wolseley WD8, and it is much more simpler than that. Let me show you. However, we do need to remove some components before we actually remove the cylinder head. So we need to first of all remove our fuel tank and then our spark plug, and then that should be pretty much it, because the actual hopper actually forms the cylinder head itself on this, hence the cylinder head bolts in the hopper. So I'm going to do a time lapse of me removing the ancillary components, and then we will get the head off. Well, it seems as though our spark plug is actually quite carboned up. Well, I'll clean the spark plug out and see how we go from there. Basically, I've just been trying to crack the cylinder head nuts, and they are very tight. The fact that I have painted over them previously doesn't help. So what I've done is that I've got my mooring pin over my ratchet to allow to get it off. And I've only cracked one of the head nuts so far, so I'm going to need to do this on all 5 of these. So that's all our cylinder head nuts now removed. So yeah, in case you didn't see it, I basically got the mooring pin over the ratchet so that I could get the torque required to get them off, because they were pretty tight. So let's take this engine to the guillotine and take the head off. See what we find. There you go. Oh, there we are. Put this down. Okay, so in fact I'm not going to put this down, I'll quickly show you. There's a fair bit of carbon build up in here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's pretty carboned up. And it doesn't look like there's actually a head gasket on here in the first place. So, oh no, yes there is. I do apologise for that, I thought that there was no gasket. But looking at the bore, it's actually not too bad in the bore, which is quite a relief. So, like what I was saying before, we don't have to worry about timing on this engine, because this engine is what's known as a side valve engine. This is the inlet valve and this is the exhaust valve. And if you can see the valves when I'm rotating the engine over. But I can't see where this is actually leaking from, because it was originally leaking from here, you see. So yeah, that's quite baffling, but we'll see how changing this head gasket will make a difference. So I'm going to remove this head gasket, and then we're going to decarbonise the cylinder head and the top of the piston. I'm not going to change the piston rings or hone the liners out for the time being, because I think it's alright at the moment, but it won't harm decarbonising it while everything's off. So I've cleaned the engine down off camera. I've used a wire brush and some petrol out of the fuel tank. So the actual top of the block and the piston and the valves are actually quite good. There is actually some minor corrosion here because these are actually your water slits. Because basically there's like a jacket of water around the cylinder, and then how you cool it essentially is that you put water in the hopper in the top and then you just top it up as it boils off gradually. I will demonstrate when it's running. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to decarbonise the actual cylinder head or the hopper off camera, and then we'll fit the new gasket and then the new head. So our cylinder head gasket has now been changed. Because my camera battery is about to die, I'm going to reassemble the engine off camera, because fitting is the opposite of replacing and removing. Let's refit this cylinder head. The camera's just trying to fall down. I've just reassembled the Wolseley. It took me about 15 minutes, and I do apologise for using the phone because my camera has inevitably died. Living off-grid means there is very limited chance to actually charge it. So a lot of people always ask me as well, how do I actually start this engine? So I will break down the procedure on how I do it. Step 1, check the oil level. Step 3, obtain water. Step 2, open the fuel cock. Step 4, fill hopper with water. Step 5, set carburettor onto choke. Prime the carburettor on the tickler button until you feel resistance or see the petrol spilling out.